Double R, Flo-Town. Izzy, what episode is this?
We're number 4.
Number 4. How many do you have to have before you've made it?
Well, the smart guys are telling us we have 8 episodes. Once you've done 8, we make it. So are we halfway?
We're halfway home. We're going to get to 8, and then we'll see. Maybe we just quit.
Yeah, we could quit. You know, that's the thing. It's beautiful.
No,
we're not quitting. This is
No,
fun.
we're not.
This is awesome.
So you made it back from the Bahamas.
Barely. Going over was easy. It was awesome. The trip was phenomenal. Coming home was a different story.
Oof, I heard.
But the ocean was a little oceany.
Yeah.
And then pulling a boat trailer, however many daggone miles it was not with.
And then, of course, somebody's trailer has to mess up on the way home.
Of course. I think I might sell my boat.
Oh. I think that would be genius.
We're talking
You did
about
the
it.
blowout trip.
Yeah.
Sell it.
We're talking about it. But we had a phenomenal time.
That's awesome.
So thankful we were able to do it.
That's
Bahamas
awesome.
was cool. And now it's time for you to have a baby.
Whew. Yeah. Monday.
So do we have a name?
Monday. So daily we have different names.
Yeah, I know.
Daily. And I can tell you're frustrated with it because you're like, that's good, Robert.
Kind of getting ticked off with you. Come on, Robert. Figure it out.
Yesterday and probably today is Rutledge.
Okay. Well, last week was Robert Lamar Thomas the fourth, and you're going to call him Ford.
But
I liked that. That was the one that kind of finally stuck with me.
yeah.
But Reeves, why does that stick with you? What is your full name?
Well, I am Fred Reeves Cannon the third, and Rebecca refused to allow us to have a fourth.
Yeah.
And so me and Talon, my firstborn, are ticked that he's not the fourth. Still to this day, 19 years later.
So I got a question. Can you tweak the middle name and keep the fourth? So Robert Rutledge Thomas and keep the fourth, because Lamar's, I'd like
It's
to
a
go-
beautiful place to live.
I love Lamar. I love Lamar, but
We
I'd like
believe
to.
Lamar's where Florence is growing. Come on.
True. Hey,
But the name.
I'd like to tweak it, a little tweak. So the name from yesterday afternoon
All right.
is Charles.
Ooh.
Charles.
A little patriarchal kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
Robert Charles Thomas. Call him Charles, maybe Charlie for short.
I think Charlie's a cute boy name, but here's the reality. Every day I have to go home and report to Rebecca
The,
the new name, and you know, she gives
she
me
frustrated yet?
No, I think this is fun for her.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
but for me, not so much.
If
So
they-
pick a daggum name.
If they would let us leave the hospital without a name, we probably would.
I don't think they do that.
I don't think
Do
they
they do
would.
that, Izzy?
I don't think.
I don't think so.
You're the one with like 8 kids.
What? 4, but we did change our daughter's name in the hospital.
Like you told them one name and
Yeah.
then
And then the nurses got it wrong for like the whole time you were in the hospital, and we're like, this is not going to work.
can you
So-
sue the nurses for that? If they
should.
call your name?
So
babies?
Audrey was going to be Verity, but nobody could get
Who?
Verity.
Like,
Verity?
That's why they changed it, because
Well,
that's one
that-
of those names you're like, what?
you like really think about your name.
Yeah,
That's good.
you guys went deep on names.
But you and Andrea are doing the same thing. Y'all were trying to get
but
me-
they're not quite as out there as Izzy, but Izzy can pull that off.
Anyway,
Nice hat, by the way.
Hey, I love it.
Nice hat.
that is a really good hat with a great story. It's coming.
Could we become more of just like a outfitter?
I think you could. I'm not sure if I could
We,
bring the power with you.
I don't
but
know if
you
we
could
make
do
any
it.
money with that. I just like giving them away.
You give
Yeah,
way.
I like giving them away.
You give way too much away anyway.
True.
We could talk about that,
Yeah.
but you kind of quit giving stuff away.
Hey. Guess what?
What?
So pulling back to episode 2 or 3, can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
We started talking about the concert series.
Yeah.
I get a text last night with Justin Osborne on it.
Local
And-
Florence guy, musician, phenomenal guy.
I think we can make it happen. At the amphitheater. I've had several people reach out and tell me they thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I think we can get him.
So you mean this podcast isn't just talk? We're actually creating ideas and beginning to execute on ideas.
Yeah.
that makes me happy because the last thing I want to do is just talk about stuff.
Right.
We want to see things come to fruition, and that's really cool that we're beginning to put the wheels in motion to see this happen.
We probably need to find like a secretary
Okay.
to kind of help fully execute these ideas.
So now the Double R podcast is producing jobs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Good golly, we're good.
This thing's growing. It's growing, Flo. Growing, Flo.
Man.
So yeah, all right. We're gaining traction. We'll get it done. It's probably too hot to do it right now anyway. Maybe fall. If we start really hammering it now, maybe by early fall.
Mid-October is a beautiful time.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. All right, and here's the vision, okay?
All right.
We're not doing food trucks because you go out to eat at the restaurants that are already downtown. You go out to eat, you hang out, and you walk to that. You do the concert. There'll be drinks there. There'll be, some of that. And then go back out after and hang out.
Dessert. There's some really killer dessert spots in downtown. Rebecca and I love to come eat at any of the various restaurants in downtown and then go get some dessert in several of the different spots.
So will this be a sell ticket thing?
I think we can find some local businesses that help sponsor the thing. And I wonder if we can just at least make the first one free.
Okay. All right.
Just a fun place to gather for people to come and see each other, enjoy the community.
I think there'll be a crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people that place will sit. I don't know. I don't know. We need to go walk over there and check
Maybe
out.
we can take the podcast on the road and do a little.
We'll do a little.
Do that,
Let's
Izzy?
go check it out.
All right.
But I like that it'll also be kind of quaint also,
Yeah.
I mean.
It's not too big.
Yeah, it's not too big. Yeah. So that I'm excited.
So Justin's on board. He's thinking in that direction.
Justin, let's talk a little more. I think he is. I think he'll end up moving back to Florence.
That's
I think he's going to be like, man, this is the place for me to live, and then just shoot all over the country, man, but live here.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a special guest. This is more of an uncle to me, honestly. Richie is beyond friend. He's more family, Uncle Skip, and he's got an unfair advantage in this today because he was a DJ. How many years ago? Just a few?
I bet he had a different
Since 70, 78, 79.
But I think his juices are flowing. I can see it. We're back in
nighttime.
Oh my goodness.
nighttime. Grew up in Georgetown.
Grew up in Georgetown. Yeah.
That's where you were DJing.
DJ'd at gosh, I can't remember the name of the call sign of the station. WAZX.
WAZX.
Right across from the steel mill.
So you were a legit DJ.
A legit DJ.
What kind of music did y'all play?
We played basically two kinds of music. Classic and rock. And I like right now.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is when you actually had records. You didn't just play. We play album cuts.
You kind of have that radio voice now.
Yeah.
Some people say I got the radio face.
Well,
I think that's a compliment.
We can tell he's comfortable in this.
That's right.
In this situation here.
Well, I'm comfortable around you guys. You guys are, we've been friends. I've been good friends with your dad since we came to Florence in '95. Yeah, I've been friends with him, and then, adopted you, brought you in Marlene.
That's right. Trained me.
Taught
me how to surf.
How to surf, and took you on your trip to Costa Rica.
Taught me about the window.
Talking about open window.
Here's the one thing he always told me.
She's told me this.
The window.
Oh yeah, he's giving me that story.
So, when you're in that dating phase and you're thinking you want to get married and get locked down, Richie's like, so that window is open right now. Well, you go surf, you go do whatever. At a certain point, that window will close.
I think we know a guy or two that might need to be sitting with Richie as well.
Hey, and listen, not only will that window close, there are some in the relationship that will ping it and nail it shut.
Terrific. So you get the right one, and that window can still crack open every once in a while, and that can slip out.
And both of you need to crack it. Both of you need.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of freedom.
Who knew we were getting marriage counseling for Rich?
Yeah. Hey, he's giving it all to me. I mean, I've honestly thought a lot about that. That window thing was stuck with me my whole life. So thank you. It's true. Oh my. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you develop that talk on as a DJ? Those late nights, you know, you DJing and you were developing this window talk. Is that where it came?
I don't know that I was mature enough to develop any window talk as a DJ at midnight at night. I was developing some habits, but I don't think
So it was from midnight to.
sometimes midnight to 6. So
Wow.
6 to midnight. So yeah,
Wow.
just different
The late night.
a couple of years. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So why is he here today?
Okay, so I love your billboard. Live here, work here, play here, which is true. I mean that's kind of what this podcast is about, and that's what your billboard says. Tell us a little bit about your thought process there.
So my billboard says, we work here, we live here, we give here.
Play.
That's right.
Is the
so
same. Yeah.
So we work here, live here, give here. And I think that is true for any small business in any community. And it's particularly true for me and trying to differentiate my business and my brand in this community. I want people to know I do work here. I employ people here. I have a payroll here. I've read that a dollar spent a local business turns over about 7 times in a community.
Wow.
And I think that's important for people to know. I came to Florence in 1995, and I would tell you there has been more progress made, particularly downtown. There's been more progress made probably in the last 5 to 6 years than had been made in the prior 20 plus years that we had been here. Tim Norwood, there's other guys that invested time and energy and effort and labor and love to bring this downtown community back up. They've done a phenomenal job, and it's been tough, but they have invested a lot down here. And they're local business people. They work here, they live here, and they're giving back tremendously here in investment and trying to bring this community forward. And kudos to them for doing that. But I hope that people in this community think about doing business with local business.
Yes.
It's the backbone of every economy. Y'all need local business to thrive. I need local business to thrive. I would also say that large corporations don't support the charities that you and I care about. They don't. Large corporations don't generally support House of Hope, the Crisis Pregnancy Center, the local baseball team, my Krispy Kreme donuts. Those are things that local businesses do and continually do in a community to give back to that community. So when you're making a buying decision, think about that local business and that local guy that works here, lives here, and gets here. Stays in your community.
We were having that conversation in the office this week about, you know, we Draystone always supports South Florence and West Florence athletics, and we were getting ready to write those checks, and you're right, big corporations don't do that.
Yeah.
And so that's a
good. I'm not saying that big corporations give, but they give the big national causes. They give the larger things. We support the schools and the PTOs and the baseball teams and the crisis pregnancy centers and all of the charitable causes that are important to the community. Small business is a huge support for those things in our community to make it special, that make it unique. And I hope people will take that to heart when they make a buying decision.
So you're an insurance guy, and State Farm, which is a national, maybe international, I don't know.
Just national.
Okay, just national company, but you're a local owner of the State Farm.
I'm an independent contractor, AGIF legally, and I represent State Farm and the products and services that they and their affiliates offer. So I'm an independent business owner. My employees are my employees.
Okay.
They work for me, not for State Farm. But I have an exclusive contractual relationship that I would only represent State Farm in or its affiliates in, in this market. So I own a small business like a CPA, a dentist, a doctor, anybody else. So,
And one of the other reasons we wanted to have you here, because with real estate, we do a ton with insurance.
yeah,
And the insurance environment is changing rapidly.
moment by moment.
Yeah. And I think last week we just heard State Farm and many other carriers are looking for, they're not insuring anything older than 2006. Just tell us a little bit about the insurance environment.
So
that may or may not even be accurate.
In my almost 30 years in the insurance business, I have never seen, I had the same conversation with another insurance agent, an independent agent, because we're all friends. We know each other. We talk. We work together. Yeah, we work together. We try to help each other as best as we can. We're competitors, but we try to work together as well. And we were all collectively saying that in all of our time in this business, we have never seen such a dynamic, tightening, changing, difficult homeowners insurance market, like I said, in my almost 30 years. And so why is that? There's a lot behind that, and I'll kind of bring that to local real estate. A big thing coming out of COVID, and I don't really understand the direct correlation, but coming out of COVID, the cost of reinsurance, believe it or not, insurance companies buy insurance. So for example, if we had I'll go back to Hurricane Hugo. If we had a Hurricane Hugo that swept through here and an insurance company paid out $8 billion in losses, they may have an insurance company that picks up the next $8 billion. And then the $8 billion beside that, they're back on the other side. So insurance companies buy reinsurance from Swiss Re, from Munich Re, from huge multinational conglomerates sell reinsurance as an investment.
But State Farm, I think most people don't understand that point. State Farm has insurance.
State Farm buys reinsurance.
Reinsurance.
State Farm buys reinsurance.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know a large insurance company that doesn't buy reinsurance. So just like you buy, we got a deductible, and then we got a stock gap. So the cost of reinsurance coming out of COVID skyrocketed. Some larger companies are able to negotiate that somewhat with these groups based on experience and size and things. Other companies are not in a position to maybe negotiate as much. Some companies will pass that full cost down to its consumers. They don't have anything else to do but pass that cost directly to you. Larger companies maybe can absorb that cost or spread it out. So that's part of it. What's that done to some companies in this part of South Carolina is they have pushed that cost. I've seen renewal notices where somebody's homeowner's insurance has practically doubled. It's doubled.
Wow.
And I relate that to the cost that they pay for reinsurance. Other companies have chosen to pull back from the market, to not insure anything.
Yeah.
So you got fewer people selling the product on the street. So they've said, we can't pay that cost of reinsurance. We're not going to operate in that market.
That's why we're seeing people pull out.
That's one reason. That's one reason that you're seeing some companies pull out is the cost of reinsurance and not wanting to pay that price to operate in a particular market.
Yeah.
So what that means in the marketplace is the more people you have selling the product, the more that risk is spread out, the more competitive that price is. From an insurance company standpoint like mine that is still here, we don't want 50% of the market being a catastrophe. You don't want it. You don't want that much exposure. Yeah. So if you two insurance companies have pulled out, and that's opened up a lot more market availability, we now can afford to be very particular and say, hey, we want to take on some more exposure, but we only want to take on really good exposure. We want to take on risks that we really, really feel good about. Again, no company wants to be the largest holder of the insurance market during a catastrophe. So companies have left. That's made the companies that have chosen to stay and remain, it's made them a little more pickier with who and what they're insured. And we can get into roofs because that's a big part of this.
Well, I just think it's fascinating because it's almost an anti-business in a like, for example, Robert and I, and maybe Robert doesn't want to say this, but I'll say we wouldn't mind if every other real estate agent in Florence went out of business and we were the only two guys here to everybody came to us. But you're saying insurance companies, because of the liability, the exposure to risk,
Potential for risk, yeah.
you've got to
Yeah.
give some of that risk to other people so you don't have all of it.
It makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, but it's a little bit different than other businesses.
It's very different. For example, most people that walk into a store here in Florence and they want to buy this mug, they can buy that mug.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that I talk to that come into my place of business, and I can't get. For some reason, I have to tell them no.
Yeah.
And there's a lot behind that.
Okay.
Another thing that's impacting the cost of reinsurance is really big. The other thing that's impacting in insurance is AI, and for our industry, how we used to determine rates is we look to the past. We look back at the claims we paid over a period of time. We look at the severity, how severe was it, how frequency of the claim, the severity of the claim, and we look at past experience to make a future prediction. AI has totally changed that. So now, not only do we have the past experience, but a sophisticated AI algorithm can tell us, well, with a fairly high degree of certainty, if you have this much market share in this zip code, in this neighborhood, in this part of the country, here, this is what you can expect your losses to be. So it is an incredibly effective predictive modeling tool looking forward. So we predicted forward, but now we can look forward with a lot more accuracy and a lot more insight in developing a pricing model. And of course, after COVID too, I mean, the price of everything, you guys saw that. What did construction price do coming out of COVID? How much did a root, did a nail and a tack and tar paper go up? And when you have a claim, insurance has to pay that.
Yeah.
So that building materials costs, labor costs, all of those things shot up. And when those costs go up, they don't come back down. They don't. So a lot of things go into that, and that's what's impacted rates in our area. If you guys lived in Greenville, South Carolina, and you had the same house that you have here, yeah, your insurance would probably be 40 to 50% less.
Wow, that much.
Yep. So
Okay, so is that
Don't move to Greenville.
don't stop moving?
Everybody already.
so why is that?
Yeah.
And that catastrophe exposure.
Yeah, we're
so-
the hurricane. We're its own.
Yeah, there's a potential hurricane.
How much of that is socioeconomic exposure being, or is it all close to the coast?
It's mostly coasted to coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And every company has their rates when loaded. I mean, that's proprietary. But in general, for this part of South Carolina, 40 to 50% is probably attributed to collecting premium to pay for that next big storm that we know is coming.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that, would it be east of 17 is the highest, and then you get, west of 17 up to around maybe Sumter, and you've got a set.
Well, 17 is an easy line because we can see that we can picture. But it's not really east or west of 17 or east or west of 95.
Okay.
AI models constantly run predictive modeling maps, and each company has its own predictive modeling proprietary data that they use to make determinations. So those models and those lines are constantly shifting and moving from time to time. So and again, every company's different. I'll give you a couple examples how it plays out in a marketplace. There's a large carrier in South Carolina, in this part of the state, very well known, and they depreciate your roof. So part of their approach to mitigating what they are predicting to be a future loss is we're just going to fully depreciate your roof based on the age of it. Some companies say, don't have a problem with the age of the roof. We're going to look more at the age of the house. We're going to look at the age of the home. If the home, for us right now, if the home is built 2006 forward, we don't have a problem with insuring that with our State Farm. If it's beyond that, we have an affiliate carrier we can still insure you with. So we can help you get insurance and gain it. But roofs are the number one thing that you could probably suspect that you can have trouble with. So what you've seen happen in this part of South Carolina is a separate deductible for wind and hail, a separate deductible for a named storm, and then a final all peril deductible for theft for theft or fire. People need to understand there is a difference in a deductible, or a difference in a wind hail deductible and a named storm deductible. Okay. So you look at your insurance, you have 3 different deductibles. You need to know that. You have 3 different deductibles, and is your roof going to be depreciated? You need to know that now so that you can have a discussion with a local agent about what do I want to, can I keep this? Can I mitigate this some? Can we do something differently in this space? Let me tell you how that works out. You're with a company to appreciate your roof. Your roof was put on in 2017. So it's getting close to 10 years old. We have a storm, we have a hurricane, and your roof's got to be replaced. Let's say it's $18,000 to replace your roof. Insurance company says, Reeves, you put your roof on in 2017, it's 8 to 10 years old. We're going to depreciate. You got a 20% depreciation on that roof. And I'm making these numbers up. Yeah. Restoration. So you got an $18,000 claim. So we're going to take 20% off of that. So what's 20% of 18,000?
Well,
16.
That's 16,000.
All right. So now we're at 16,000. Now you have a 2% deductible. 2% of what? 2% of the value of my house. You got a $350,000 deductible. I got a $7,200 of it. So I'm $16,000 claim and a $7,200 deductible. How much am I getting for my roof? About $11,000.
Yeah.
$10,000.
Yeah.
You need to know that up front now so that that's not a surprise to you later. And you need to make a decision about, can I assume this risk? Am I okay with that? You're going to have to save some additional money. What do I need to do if this happens so I can be prepared if this comes up? So go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, so Robert, we bring a client to you, they're buying a house. Say, hey, call Richie, see what you can do for insurance. What practical steps? One, I just heard you say, have a good, honest conversation with a local agent, with Richie. But what else can that consumer do to help lower their insurance costs every month, or to get the right insurance? What?
Good questions. Good practical questions. Number one, when you start out early in life, buy renter's insurance. When you start out early in life, you rent an apartment, you rent a condo, you rent somewhere, establish a relationship with an insurance company, and renter's insurance is very, very inexpensive. And it is, in essence, like homeowner's insurance. There's just no coverage on the building. There's no coverage on the door, but all your stuff is covered. Establish a relationship early by getting some renter's insurance. That's going to help you build a relationship with that company. You come to me, got renter's insurance. Now we're transitioning to homeowner's insurance. There's going to be some benefit built into that because you've been a customer or start with renter's insurance for that. New construction home today in this market is going to be less expensive than an older construction home.
Okay.
A $350,000 house built in 22, 23, 24, brick could be as low as $900 a year. That same $325,000 house built in 1998 could be $1,800 a year, $2,000 a year. Okay.
New construction, we can help them with that. We can help them with that.
So if you're looking at buying, just be informed that a home, well, building codes have changed. You guys know about building codes, and homes are built stronger, better, to higher standards. Used different plumbing is now used that was used 20 years ago. So new home construction is going to be less expensive. Look at deductibles. Do I save enough money increasing my deductible from $1,000 to $2,500? Do I have a 1% wind and hail? Do I have a 2% hurricane? A wind and hail is any wind and hail loss. We can have a bad thunderstorm blow through here this afternoon and have some bad weather that blew some shingles up and had a little bit of hail damage. That's a separate deductible than your regular fire and theft deductible. And then you could have a separate hurricane deductible that could be even higher. So being informed about that. Alarm systems, having a local alarm system monitored to local police and fire is a good way to save on your homeowner's insurance. The other way is to visit and make sure that your home is insured to its proper value. I see this mistake made regularly. Somebody buys a house. They call our office, say, hey, I'm buying this house. It's $386,000. Well, that may be the price of the house and the lot. You want to back that lot value out of there because you don't insure the value of your lot or your land. So you want to sit down with someone and help calculate the replacement cost of that structure, that building, and not insure the fact that a lot of companies will give you a quote on $380,000.
I bet that's happened to happens a lot. We need to start helping people look at that and make sure that lot's not in there. I bet a lot of times it is. That happens a lot.
And it you go. I've seen some people that bought a house and the replacement costs on the house come back greater than what they're paying for the house and the lot. And I go, Robert, good for you, man. You know how much it would cost to build this? You're paying $380 for this house. It's going to cost you $425 to build it back. And that's kind of a difficult conversation to have with someone because market value and insurance build-back value are two separate things. Market value is what somebody's willing to pay in the marketplace.
Correct.
The insurance build-back value is what it costs to build that back.
Yes.
So making sure that that number is correct. Looking at deductibles, alarm systems, building a relationship with an insurance company, and making sure that your house is insured for its insurance to value.
Good stuff. Yeah. So here's what I do. Here's what I say do. I use Richie because I know him, I trust him, and he's going to do what's right.
Give here.
Give here. So I play here. So just I use Richie and not, and that's what you go back to, using local people that you know and trust. And we've had so many conversations about insurance, and you know what's going on. I don't need to worry about it. And when I've had problems, which I've had, and you were there for me. You were there for my sister. You were there for Reeves.
You were there for me.
So one thing before, as we finish up, we need a funny insurance story. I know you got a million of. We need a good, funny insurance story. It probably goes back to another reason why insurance is so high is because all the people that try to scam.
Oh, listen, fraud is rampant. And we could spend a whole episode talking about insurance fraud, from asking the car repair guy, hey, look, man, I got $1,000 deductible. Well, can you increase your labor? Can you help me soften out this from? Or an accident happens and suddenly 35 people end up in the car. So there's lots of things, and there's a big push now in South Carolina. There's a big legislative push to begin combating insurance fraud. Yeah, and that cost is passed on to us. It's passed on to you and I. You mentioned me in helping. I think all the local insurance people in the community here want to help educate our customers and make good decisions. And I want to help educate you guys and your listeners to make a good decision. If I can help you with your insurance, I want to. If you end up being a customer, that's great. But my job and the job of my staff is obviously to promote our company, take care of as many customers as we can. But we want to help educate you to make a good decision. We do that, then we've done our job well. That we believe will come back to us in some way, shape, or form. Funny insurance story. I had one. We got a recent. So new customer, no names, no customer. New customer calls me up and says, "Hey man, I got a problem." I'm like, "Well, no, let me back it. Existing customer, downtown business. I want use Reeves.
Don't get worse.
I'll use Reeves." So existing customer calls and God, It was Friday, a couple Fridays ago, and I had a storm that blew through. And I remember, lightning had hit their business downtown, and I have their business insured. I have the building and their business insured. And the lightning had hit tree something near around, but pow! Fried the electronics, HVAC goes off, the alarm's off, computers aren't working. They look around outside, there's some shingles swapped up, So he calls me up, he says, hey man, I hate to bother you on a late Friday afternoon, and so. He said, I think lightning just hit, and we got all this damage going on. I said, well, when did it happen? He said, today. I said, today, Friday? He said, yeah, today, just about 45 minutes ago. I said, today, Friday the 13th? He said, yeah, today, Friday the 13th. I said, man, buddy, there's a clause in all insurance policies that if lightning strikes your business or house on Friday the 13th, there's no coverage. So he's like,
Oh, that's
are you kidding? We kidding? I said, no.
80 cuss words.
I got him for about 5-6 seconds. Are you kidding me? So anyway, but listen, there are a lot of funny insurance stories, crazy things that people think and that people do, and there's some serious ones too. I'll touch on one more thing if you maybe a lot of people ask me related to your world. That's trees. Not true. Yeah. I got a tree. My neighbor has a tree on his property. It's leaning over my fence. Yeah. It's leaning over my house. It's leaning over my car. Can I make him cut it down? No. If that tree is alive, thriving, green, growing, he's not liable for whichever way that tree might fall. Same thing's true for you. If you have a living, thriving tree that's on your property and it's leaning one way or the other, you can't be held liable for the way that living, thriving tree may fall.
So then it falls on my car, my neighbor's tree. Who pays?
All right, tip. So if your tree falls on your neighbor's car, your neighbor's insurance is going to pay for that if he's got comp coverage on the car. But if that tree is dead, it's decayed, the pine beetles are working on it, and it's dead, it's been hit by lightning, it's dead, you're liable for that. The tree's alive and living, you really can't be held liable. You don't know that the wind's going to blow it this way, that way, or which way.
Yeah.
So just like if Robert lived 4 streets down and a storm came and knocked the top out of a pine tree and it landed on your house, Robert wouldn't be responsible or liable for that. But you get a lot of questions about.
Yeah.
We do get that question too. Yeah. You know, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That one comes up a lot. So.
Well, Skip Richards, please come back.
Thanks for having me on your show. What you guys do is important. Remember, hey, we work here, we live here, we give here.
Thank you, Skip.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.